Hey, kia ora, Helen Brahms here, coming to you live from, where the heck am I? Winslow, Arizona. Not standing on a corner, because there are no corners here to stand on. Well, there kind of is, but I'm not standing on a corner in Winslow, Arizona. But I'm actually not in Winslow, Arizona, although the address is for Winslow. Where am I? Find out in a moment. How did your tune-up Tuesdays go? Did you clear the fog out of the brain? My brain got defogged with driving. It actually cleared my brain. You'll find out more about it. If you didn't watch this morning's one, you'll find out what happened. How are your numbers looking for your business? Did you tune them up? Get some action done on those? And then did you enjoy listening to any country music today? I didn't listen to any today when I was driving. I was singing it though, but I wasn't listening to it. So my day got off to a very foggy start because at 3 o'clock this morning, all I hear is, "Arr, arr, arr, arr." And I look up and I open up one eye and Zephy's sitting there looking down at me. "Arr, arr." And I'm like, oh crud, she wants out. So I got up, threw a pair of sweatpants on, a sweatshirt, took her outside, put her on the long lead. I've got about a 20-30 foot lead and I just put her on that. And basically I stood on the mat at the bottom of the stairs and just let her do this circle, but I made sure she stayed away from the other RVs and she was always in my sight. And it turned out the pork may not have agreed with her last night because she had a touch of diarrhea. I was like, great. So she finished all of that. We go back inside. And of course now I'm like, wide awake. So I read like, I think it was like a couple of pages. And then finally it was like, okay, we're going to sleep now. I've got to have my routine. Roll over, go back to sleep. Then the next thing I hear, oh, 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 and I wake up and there she is looking at me, sitting there looking down at me again, whining in my face. I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. I look at the clock, it is just before 5 a.m. So I've had less than 2 hours. So I'm like, oh, jeepers. I said, we're supposed to be traveling today. This is not good. And so when we came back inside after that time, I said to her, I says, right, the alarm's supposed to go off at 6 o'clock. I need at least 2 more hours sleep. So I'm setting it for, so I changed it to 7 o'clock. And I thought then we will get up, take her outside again, get everything, and everything was basically just about ready to go anyway. It was just a couple, we would have been out of there in 20 minutes. And then as I'm busy, after I taken her out and then of course at 7 o'clock, the alarm goes off and then she's sitting there, and I'm like, oh, you've got to be kidding me. So we got up, I threw some clothes on, and obviously I was taking too long because she had an accident inside the RV, and she very rarely has accident. The only time she had accidents outside the RV has been the night that she first spent the night here in the RV, and then one other time since. So since November last year, she's had 3 accidents in the RV. So I can't fault her that. I was dragging. So I took her out for a walk, came back, got everything, was getting it ready to go out to disconnect everything. I suddenly thought, crap, I'm supposed to fill up the window washer fluid because I forgot to do it at the last stop, and I couldn't wash the windows as I was driving. I had to look through the smear of insects that I couldn't get off the windscreen. So I was out there and I was filled up the window washer thing, and then I put some on my squeegee thingy, my big long squeegee thingy that reaches up on my thing. And this woman comes around the corner from the RV next door to us, and we start talking. And it turns out this was her first night in their brand new RV. The RV's a year old. It's a Class C. It was 24 feet long. It's her and an 89-year-old guy who I think is her dad. Can't remember their relationship. And we had a great time talking. It turned out it was their first night in their RV. They had driven from Phoenix. And I'm like, that's like a 5-hour drive. And they had driven from Phoenix up to where I was, parked next to us. And it was their first time staying in a campground. They weren't sure of campground protocol, like were there times that they weren't supposed to make noise and all of that. So got them schooled in on all of that. But we ended up talking for like over an hour, and gave her some advice, things that I had learned along the way. Now their vehicle's nowhere near as big as Sparkle's. Okay, Sparkle's is 32 feet Class A. There was a Class C. So theirs has the truck cab, and then you've got the bed that goes over top of the cab, and was only 24 feet long from front to back. So they have a lot less space inside than I do. So I got my windows cleaned, got my washer fluid filled up, gave them some information that to help them along their way, and they want to know what my family Motor Coach Association plaque was in the window, so I was telling them about that, telling them about some of the other organizations to to join because of discounts and stuff and things that they have available. And she's basically going to be starting to blog about what it's like to be as a single woman traveling in an RV. So she was very interested to hook up with me. So she's going to hook up with me on Facebook. She went and got some pen and paper and took some notes as well. So we were out there for over an hour. So it was sort of like, oh my gosh, I was supposed to be on the road like an hour ago, but it's okay. You know, I didn't have a time crunch to be here by. So we got in the RV. We left there just before 10 o'clock Mountain Time. I have to remember this. Just before 10 o'clock Mountain Time. I had to fill up Sparkles because Sparkles was a little thirsty, and paid less than $2 a gallon. Yes, $1.99. And so I got Sparkles filled up, got on the freeway and all of that, and I thought, okay, now I had mentioned in my morning video I was going to stop at the rest area at the Welcome Center at Arizona, which was only like about 30 minutes down the road, and grab a quick nap and then get back on the road again. I don't know what it is for heading back to California, going through New Mexico and through Arizona and rest areas. What the hell is going on here? We get across the border there, we're coming up on this rest area closed. Next rest area, 126 miles. I'm like, that's like right at my campground. I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. So nowhere to pull over at that point because there's this big orange sign there. And I'm like, you got to be kidding me. So I was just like, okay, suck it up. We got our bottle of water. I got my little peppermint beadlets. I had them sitting there next to me so I could pop some peppermint beads every now and again to help keep me awake. Driving along down the road, and I can't remember the exit number. I'm going to have to go back and find the exit number, but we were probably about an hour and a half on the road when I saw, you know how they have the signs up that tell you got gas, which gas station's coming up, food and all that. One of them had a Safeway thing on there, and I was like, Safeway, groceries, yes, taking that exit. So we went off at that exit there because I couldn't remember, and I didn't write up my little piece of paper, my little cheat sheet. So we go off at that exit there. It's about a mile down the road. We passed a rest area that was open and had an off-the-leash dog park at it. But there was no signs coming up to that exit from when you're heading west on the I-40 that it was there. But I noticed it as I was crossing over the bridge, crossing over the freeway. There was a sign that had rest area pointing, and I'm like, what the heck? The eastbound people get to know about this, but not the westbounders? And so I went to the Safeway. Of course, they required masks, so this was going to be a big challenge for me. For those of you who don't know, I have problems even with oxygen masks. I can't wear them. I go into panic mode. It goes back to some traumatic stuff that happened to me years ago, and I can't wear masks. And the worst one that I get triggered with every time is when I was on recruit course, or boot camp as you guys call it here. When I was joining the Royal New Zealand Air Force, when in boot camp they actually put us in a room full of tear gas with gas masks on, and we had to remove. And when the corporal stood in front of us, we had to remove the gas mask, say our rank, name, and serial number, and then we could put the gas mask back on. I was in complete panic mode in that, and they could see it in my eyes. They kept going, "Are you okay, Eakins?" I'm like, "Yes, Corporal." Because if I said no, I didn't know what the hell was going to happen to me. You never say, if they ask you if you're okay, you say yes anyway. I was a very naive, terrified 17-year-old at the time, and so I'd go into an aisle, there'd be nobody there, and I'd like take some deep breaths, and then somebody would come there. I'm like, crap, put it back up again. So I was in and out of there in like 20 minutes, having to take gasps of breaths between aisles and stuff. Finally got out of there, and like the second they finished at the register, that thing just ripped that thing off and walked out without nobody stopped me. I was sort of like, I am done with this thing. Then I get to the campground, and so then we get in and across the road from the Safeway was this place that was called the Wigwam Motel. And I'm like, and we're coming in, and they've got all these little teepees set up there, and you can actually stay in teepees overnight. And they're solid buildings done up like teepees, and they had all these classic cars sitting in front of them. I couldn't get a picture from directly across because we weren't directly across the road at the Safeway when we were parked, but I got a picture of the front of the motel, and I think I may have grabbed some as we drove past. I know I was using my phone as I was driving, but I was crawling and basically stopping even though I had no parking signs, but I made sure that a lot of traffic went past me first and there was nothing coming behind me, and then I kind of like sat there and quickly took some pictures and moved it forward a little bit, took some more pictures, so I wasn't parking but I wasn't really driving, so I haven't even looked back to see if they showed up or anything. We got here, and then the rest area, which was a mile down the road from the campground, the turnoff for the campground, pulled in there, no problem at all. Massive parking areas, plenty of space for everybody. They had where all the trucks normally pass, then they had this humongous overflow area. No close sign on that one. And I thought, well, all I need to do is just stop here to see if the campground emailed me or texted me or anything like that, because sometimes the campgrounds will, they want to do a no-touch check-in. So they will text you with your site number, and all of that sort of information, so you just come straight into the campground and all that, but there was nothing from them, so it's like a 5-minute stop. Then got back on the road, got here, pulled up, there's a gate across the thing, and you got to go to the convenience, and just as well I did stop and check the email, because in the email it said, from my reservation, it said, come to the gas station and come into the convenience store, and da-da-da-da. So I get out, it's like 95 or 96 degrees, I walk across from where they tell us to park the RV, over to the gas station to go in the convenience store, and big sign says there, masks required. I'm like, shit. Walk all the way back to the RV, because I realized I left the mask inside the RV hanging on the keychain, on the key hook, and got that, walked back in there again, and by this stage my eyes are just like, and this guy's like, you okay? I said, I'm sorry, and I just turned away from him, took the thing off, took some deep breaths, put it back on again, turned around, and he didn't. The guy at the first gas station was filling up sparkles. He could see the panic in my eyes. He says, and he wasn't even wearing a mask. And he said, if you can't handle it, take it off. And I was like, thank you. I said, I just can't deal with these things. So we got here, got into the parking area, and we've got just water and power only, because I figured that's all I need. But I totally forgot to empty before we left the other campground. And so I said to myself, you got a dumping station? And I get to the parking area, I get parked, put the feet down, perfectly level. I'm like, yes. And then I suddenly thought, oh crap, do I need to empty my tanks? And I already had the feet down and the slides out, went and checked my gauges, and I was like, damn, I don't have enough space in my grey tank, which is the shower water and the hand basin water and all that, to take a shower. And I'm like, damn. So it was like, pull the sides back in, pull the feet up, drive all the way over the other side of the parking of the campground, found two dog park, off the leash dog park areas, both looked like a decent size, got out. By now it's like 97 degrees outside, feels like, and the thing said it feels like 104, and I'm like, this is like, we're melting. Emptied the tanks, came back over, parked, almost perfect on the level, almost perfect, just a little tweak here and there, and we were able to do it, but that was okay. We've got we're looking out, our view out here is straight at the I-40. Zephy's been up there. She's been fine for the complete ride. We went outside for a little bit for a walk for her, came back in, and ever since we've come back in, the wind has picked up horrendously. So where are we? We are actually at the Meteor Crater RV Park, which is 5 miles, which as you turn off to go down to the Meteor Crater, we're right near the entrance to the about a quarter of a mile down from the freeway, and then you're 5 miles past the RV park is where the actual crater is, and we actually get, because we're staying here, we actually get discounts to go to the crater. But we did that in 2014 when Mum, Dad, Brad and I did a road trip. We came up to here and we went and saw the crater, and we couldn't do the rim walk that day because of the high winds, and we're standing outside and we're getting buffeted. The winds were horrendous. Not as strong as they are right now, but yeah, so we're by the Meteor Crater. It's still a Winslow address, but we are about 15-20 minutes from Winslow itself. I think it's about 15-20 minutes, something like that. So we're here for a couple of nights, and so far we like the campground. It's all gravel. The sites are pretty level, which is awesome when you got gravel stuff and all that sort of thing. So yeah, we're going to have a good couple of nights while we're here, and Zephy's just basically been zonked out. In fact, look, I'll show you. I can't even sit in the recliner. She's just zonked. She has been up on she's been up on the dash to watch the trucks and stuff, and then she comes down. But she's also in direct line, directly above her is the AC unit. The AC unit's doing pretty well. It's keeping us cooler than it is outside. It's like 80 something in the living room area here, but it's like 90 in the bedroom. But the overnight low is supposed to get down into the 50s. So once the wind dies down, or even it doesn't, I may still, no, it's a little dusty out there. But at some point I will open the windows in the bedroom just to let the breeze come through and air it out a little bit. So our genealogy thing tonight, I came across this really cool. So that was our trip today. We spent a total, it was 3.5 hours from when we left to when we arrived here. So actual drive time was about 2 hours and 40 minutes, and then the rest of it was our breaks. So good run through. Yeah, just put it in 63 and just cruised. I don't think that, except for having to leave the freeway, that was the only time I had to put the brakes on. It was great. Even going uphill, downhill, the engine did all the work. Love that. And when I did my miles per gallon thingy, because I have an app on my phone that tracks all the fills that I do, so I can see, oh yeah, that was about a quarter, that was 3/4, whatever. The run that I did from, hang on, where did I go from before? Where did I go before I got to Santa Fe? Oh, from Santa Fe to wherever I was last night, Gallup. So from Santa Fe to Gallup, and so when I filled up with that gas, what did I fill up with that one? The time I filled up, so even going through all the mountains and the hills and everything that I've been doing over the last couple of drives, we hit our best mileage ever. We were almost at 8 miles a gallon, which in a thing this size is awesome. People go, 8 miles a gallon, my car gets 55. Well, we're in an RV. We have a little bit of difference on the power thing, on the gas consumption there. But yeah, it was almost 8 miles a gallon, which is the best run it has ever done. And I'm like, oh my gosh, that was us going like this up and down these hills all the way along the 40. It was brilliant. So I was like, oh, Sparkles, you did really good. So it helps when you keep it in cruise control and just let the engine do its work. So yeah, big lessons there. So anyway, on to the genealogy stuff. So rather than doing a question tonight, I found a really cool resource. The Family Tree magazine, if you sign up for their weekly newsletter, they will actually send you, what's it called? It is called the 10 Essential Genealogy Research Forms. Now, people were asking about research forms the other day. So I've got this PDF, there's 13 pages to it, including the cover, and I've got it blown up so you can see it. So I'm going to turn this around and see if this works. But this here is your 5-generational ancestral chart, which the other day we called it a pedigree chart. Again, it's got the chart number, and the number one on this chart is number blup on chart number blup. And over here, you can put in here what chart numbers these ones continue on. So if you're the first person here, then this will be your parents, your grandparents, great-grandparents, great-great-grandparents. And then from there, you can add them onto different charts and start the charts all over again. So you get this ancestral chart. Now I've got it blown up so you can see it. The next one they have is the family group sheet. Now this is different to the one that I showed you on Ancestry. It's got the blah 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 family, and then you put in their full names, birth date. It's all the same information as before, just a slightly different format. And then the children of this marriage, their birth date and place, the death and burial dates and places, and spouse and marriage dates and places. Then this is a research worksheet. So what this does is that you put here the full name, maiden name for women, their social security number if they have one, nicknames and alternative names they were known by, all the different surname variations. And then you've got their birth and baptismal dates, and baptism is another word for christenings as well, all their marriages and divorces that you can find, and their spouses and things, their death dates and plates, and then any military service that they did, what conflict they were in, whether in World War I, the Korean War, Vietnam, World War II, Civil War, etc., what unit they were with, and the dates and the years. And then this is page 2, migration. Where did they come from and to, arrival, departure dates, who was traveling with them, what name of ship did they come on. Then you've got like schools attended, religion, religious and churches, hobbies, memberships, their children's names. So this goes into a little more things, friends, witnesses, neighbors, and to research. So on some of these, when it says friends, witnesses, and neighbors, you can find these like on census reports, you'll find their neighbors. Witnesses are for people who witnessed their marriage. And on some documents you may find friends as well, maybe a friend who was a witness, and here you put what their relationship was. Now this one here is really cool. This one, I wish I had this one when I first started researching, because this checklist is awesome. It's a records checklist, and it's got everything broken down, business and employment, cemetery and funeral homes, census things. Then you come up here and you've got the church, court, and these are where you can get all the different records. These are places to go, home sources, baby books, baptism and confirmation certificates, birth certificates, checkbooks and bank statements, death records. So you've got modern day stuff as well as past stuff. And they've got like immigration, newspapers, military. So this gives you a resource that you can go to on the checklist. Have I checked these for, any institutions that they were in, land and property, published resources, vital things, vital records. So you can actually use this to go through and up here up the top, I would print off one of these for each person I'm researching, and I'll put their name up the top here, and then I would check off each of these things that I had checked that were relevant to them at the time. But it would help you go through. This is a really good checklist of all the places that you could go to find different records on your ancestors. Look at this, wolf scalp bounties. Oh, I'm gonna have to check that one out. I've got no idea what that was. What's that under court? Oh, I'll have to go check that one out. Then you have the relationship chart. Now this is really cool because I always get people asking me about removals and all of that. So this could be, let's see, this is number one person's most common ancestor, and then this is how they're related to number two. So the two parents together are siblings. If one's a parent and one's a grandparent, it's a niece or a nephew. And then down here you got grandparent and grandparent are first cousins. Then grandparent and great-grandparent. So if one's a great-grandparent, the other one's a grandparent, they're first cousins once removed. So it helps you work that out. But down the diagonal where they are the same is where your siblings, first cousins, so grandparent to grandparent, great-grandparent to great-grandparent are second cousins, great-grandparent, great-great-grandparent to great-great-grandparent are third cousins, and so forth down the list. So that's a really cool resource to have for that when you're trying to figure that out. This is your online search tracker, which I thought this is cool too, because you got your collection name up the top here, the website. Well, it's not a very big name for a website, but these are like typable. These are forms you can actually type on, which is really cool. Then you got first and middle name, the last name, any keywords that you're searching for. Then you've got their birth, arrival, lived and married, death, relationships, first names, last names, dates, everything. When and where, and who. When, where, and who. Then you've got surname variant worksheet. So this is where you have surnames that could be spelt like 10 different ways. My mother-in-law's maiden name is spelled, I've found 7 different spellings for her maiden name. So I can go put the different variants. I can put the surname here, all the different variants down through here. So you've got what the original surname is, place of origin, and then the phonetic variants, because some people, when they're doing the census reports, when they used to actually visit the houses and actually hand write them out, if the people in the house didn't know how to spell, then the census person would write it how they heard it. So this is where you get the phonetic stuff from. Possible variations into English. Surnames with suffixes with other endings and other spelling variations. So this is like son, data. These are words that will get put on. So son, like Watson, would be son of what. Not sure what the data is. I'd have to check that one out. But some suffixes are put onto end of surnames. Peterson, son of Peter. Watson, son of what. So when you see the son, it's usually son of and whatever that first part of the name is. So, and then you've got the oral history interview. Now, if you go to my website, yourfamilytreedetective.com, and contact us through that form, we will actually send you the 50 questions. We will send you a questionnaire of 50 questions to ask when doing an oral history interview. But this here's got, the interview date, the place, the name of the interviewer, the relationship, who you're interviewing, other names, recording format, recording location, and then notes from the interview. Now, you're probably going to need several pages, because I know I just take a notebook with me and just start writing. And I take notes I have a stopwatch over to the side where I can take notes of how far into the recording certain information is. But that's a good way to get you started. And now this is cool. US Census Checklist. It's got everyone from 1790 through to 1940. The 1951 will come out in 2022. I think it's April of 2022 is when the 1951 is going to get released. You put here the ancestor name, and then you can keep track of which census reports you found them on. This is brilliant. This is absolutely brilliant, because I have to go back to their record and go, okay, I've got them there. Yep, that's a census one there. That's a census one. And I've got to go through and say, okay, which one am I missing? This is brilliant. I can put their name here and I can check off, they were born in 1850. Okay, so they were born in 1850, maybe before or after the thing. and they died in say 1960, so they would definitely be in all of these census. So now I know I can cross these ones off and go looking from 1850 onwards. So you can put in there, you know, what year they were born and the year that they died, and then just know that they should be found on the ones in between. So this is absolutely, I love that form. That's awesome. And then this is a source documentation guide, examples on how to do your source documentation. So over here, for example, it's got here Bible record, the title of the Bible, which is the Green White Crumb Family Bible, the publisher of the Bible. This was a Methodist Episcopal Church one. The location, repository, you know, who's got it. So Rick Crum, who's obviously from the Crum family, he has it and he lives in Minnesota. If it's from a book, this is how you do it from a book. If it's a cemetery marker. So this just gives you samples on how to do the sources when you're, because anything you put in your family tree, you need to have a source with it so that you can easily go back and find it. Like if somebody says, well, how do you know that they were an optometrist? You can say, well, I actually found them on the 1890 US Census. And, you know, I found their family on there. I found it through Ancestry.com, and it was on that particular page on the end, because the when you're doing the Ancestry thing, whenever you're doing anything through Ancestry, it will automatically put the sources there. If you find other sources to back up those sources, then you can put them in as well. So this gives you a great way, and there's 2 pages on how to do source like vital record. You got a death certificate, and this is where it's held. You know, passenger list from Ellis Island came through Statue of Liberty, and you go to ellisisland.org and you can look up people there as well. So this free resource, I thought this is so cool, because I love it. Family Tree magazine has some great articles and everything else, and you can subscribe online to their magazine as well. But to just sign up for their free weekly newsletter and you get the 10 essential genealogy research forms, I'm like, this is so cool. I especially love that census one, because a number of times I've had to go back into their profile and go, okay, which census number am I missing, and figure it out. Or I've got written down what census record I found them on, but that it's in one place. I can do it by family. Yes, I found them on this one, and this one. I found their parents here, and I can add the parents in and all that sort of stuff. So I'm gonna be printing that one off. Yes. But anyway, so that's it from me for now. If you would like the 50 questions to ask when you're doing a genealogy interview, then please go to our website, yourfamilytreedetective.com, and if you go to the contact us page, contact us through that, and we will quite happily send you the PDF there, which has all of the questions. That's it from us for now. Have a super fantastic sparkling evening, and we will catch you guys tomorrow. Hei konera.